Paris, September 8, 2025. The French National Assembly stands at the centre of a political storm. As deputies prepare for a crucial confidence vote, the air in Paris is charged with uncertainty, anticipation, and a sense of historic consequence. The fate of Prime Minister François Bayrou's government hangs in the balance, and with it, the direction of France itself. This is not simply another day in Parliament. It is a test of legitimacy, of alliances, and of democracy. Across the political spectrum, lawmakers are sharpening their rhetoric and presenting competing visions for the nation's future. For some, the path forward lies in cooperation and compromise. For others, it requires rupture, dissolution, and a fresh mandate from the French people. Paul Christophe, president of the Horizons Parliamentary Group, represents one of the voices calling for unity. His tone is sober, his message deliberate. The only way forward, he insists, is to build bridges between rival factions. In his words, politically, it is a call for unity. For Christophe, the divisions within the Assembly cannot be resolved by clinging to party lines or by protecting political interests. Instead, they must be overcome by seeking points of convergence. He urges colleagues to set aside their differences, even their ambitions for 2027, to work for what he describes as the general interest. Citizens, he says, demand it. And from his recent conversations across France, he claims the public is hungry for such cooperation. But Christophe is also cautious, even worried. He warns of a spectacle that could soon unfold, one he calls unpleasant and counterproductive, a parade of politicians vying for power, offering names and ambitions rather than ideas and direction. The real debate, he argues, is not about who leads, but about what principles and policies should guide the country. Without agreement on the fundamentals, choosing leaders will be an exercise in futility. Standing firmly in opposition is Benjamin Lucas of the Green Party. Calm yet uncompromising, Lucas makes clear that his camp has no confidence in Bayrou's government. He draws a straight line between Bayrou and Emmanuel Macron, accusing the Prime Minister of pursuing the same policies that, in his view, have worsened inequality, deepened injustice, and denied democracy over the past 8 years. For Lucas, today's vote is not merely a procedural test, it is an act of democratic justice. Removing Bayrou, he argues, is both a defence of the French people and a shield for public services and social solidarity, now threatened by what he calls an unprecedented austerity plan. Lucas goes further still. He demands cohabitation, clear, straightforward and uncompromising. The president, he says, must respect the results of the 2024 legislative elections, which gave the New Popular Front a relative majority. Those elections, he insists, carried a mandate. The French people want to turn the page on Macron's policies. They rejected the raising of the retirement age to 64, the abolition of the wealth tax, the targeting of the unemployed, and the neglect of public schools. Lucas insists the verdict is clear. Citizens have said enough, and the president must honour their demand for change. On the opposite flank of the Assembly, the National Rally amplifies its own refrain, dissolution. Laure Lavalette, MP for Var, delivers her case with striking simplicity, even rhyme. Dissolution is the slogan. For her party, the solution lies in returning to the people again and again if necessary. She declares the voters of Var are ready, standing at the starting blocks, prepared to head back to the polls if called upon. Her argument is rooted in a broader critique. Lavalette rails against what she describes as unnatural alliances, strange, even bizarre pacts between the New Popular Front, the Republicans, and the centrist bloc. Such coalitions, she argues, betray the will of the people. The remedy, she says, is clear: fresh elections. She recounts her recent time spent with constituents in Toulon, a city whose liberation in 1944 still resonates as a symbol of freedom and resilience. Today, she reports, citizens are exasperated. They feel abandoned. Purchasing power remains insufficient. Security problems persist, and trust in politics has worn thin. Her conclusion is direct. Things must change, the people must be respected, and the 11 million voters who backed her party must not be ignored. Together, these voices sketch the map of France's fractured politics. Christophe's centrism pleads for unity. Lucas's left-wing camp demands cohabitation. Lavalette's far-right bloc pushes for dissolution. At the heart of it all sits Bayrou, a prime minister once seen as a stabilizer, now fighting for survival. This confidence vote is not simply a referendum on Bayrou himself. It is a mirror reflecting the contradictions and discontents of French politics. It pits austerity against social protection, pragmatism against confrontation, and continuity against rupture. Each position represents not just a strategy for power, but a vision for what France should be in the years ahead. The stakes are enormous. If Bayrou loses, the government could collapse within hours. Macron would face a critical choice: accept cohabitation, attempt to reshuffle, or dissolve the assembly and call new elections. Each option carries risks. Cohabitation could tie his presidency to an opposition-led assembly. A reshuffle might buy time, but little legitimacy. Fresh elections could plunge France back into uncertainty, perhaps strengthening extremes rather than moderates. This moment also resonates beyond France. European partners are watching closely, aware that instability in Paris could ripple across the continent. Decisions on migration, defence and economic coordination could be delayed or disrupted. France, already challenged at home, risks projecting fragility abroad. Allies worry about reliability, rivals see opportunity. At the core, however, remain the voices of ordinary citizens. In towns and cities, from Toulon to Lille, people speak of rising insecurity, stagnant wages, and disillusionment with leaders. For many, politics in Paris feels distant, dominated by gamesmanship rather than genuine solutions. This sentiment fuels Lavalette's call for new elections, Lucas's demand for justice, and Christophe's plea for unity. The Assembly's vote, then, is not only a parliamentary ritual, it is a confrontation between different readings of democracy. Should legitimacy come from building coalitions across divides, as Christophe suggests? From honouring the relative majority of the left, as Lucas demands? Or from asking voters to speak again, as Lavalette insists? Whichever path prevails, the decision will shape France's future. It could redefine Macron's presidency, decide Bayrou's fate, and test the resilience of French institutions. More profoundly, it will speak to the people themselves, citizens who feel unheard, divided, and uncertain about what comes next. What is undeniable is that France stands at a crossroads. The voices rising from the Assembly chamber echo a larger national debate about inequality, democracy, and the balance of power. Today's confidence vote may resolve the immediate question of Bayrou's government, but it will not quiet the deeper struggles. Those struggles between left and right, between elite and citizen, between continuity and rupture, will continue to shape French politics in the months and years ahead. For now, the nation watches, waits and wonders. Will Bayrou endure, or will his government fall? Will Macron bend toward compromise or double down on confrontation? And will the French people, so often invoked by their leaders, feel that their will has truly been respected? As the doors of the National Assembly prepare to open and the vote looms, one thing is certain. This moment is not just about a government's survival. It is about democracy itself, tested, challenged and redefined in the heart of Paris.
Ouais, est-ce qu'on peut, je suis désolée, ça fait vraiment un moment, on n'a toujours pas parlé aux écologistes, on a parlé à tout le monde. Non, je ne sais vraiment pas beaucoup. Mais puis, enfin, là, je dis que je ne sais pas trop comment je vais m'organiser perso.
Politically, it's a call for unity. Today, I am simply reiterating the message we expressed the day after the election. Following the dissolution, we need to work together, from the Social Democrats to the Republicans. There can be no viable majority in this National Assembly without working on points of convergence. That means we must be willing to give up red lines and perhaps set aside political interests and the 2027 deadline in order to work for the general interest. That is what our fellow citizens expect, and I was able to confirm it once again during my conversations this past weekend.
On va assister à une séquence assez désagréable où chacun va venir justement dans la volonté d'exercer le pouvoir, exprimer un certain nombre de lignes. Je pense que c'est prendre le sujet à l'envers. La question d'ailleurs n'est pas le qui mais le quoi. Et donc aujourd'hui, travailler sur des noms alors même qu'on n'arrive pas à se mettre d'accord sur une ligne de politique, ça va être très compliqué.
I think that today, unfortunately, we are going to witness a rather unpleasant sequence where everyone, driven by the desire to wield power, will come forward to set out their positions. I believe that is the wrong way of looking at things. The real question is not who, but what. To be discussing names when we can't even agree on a political direction is going to be very difficult.
Lors des élections législatives qui ont suivi la dissolution. Donc finalement, c'est une œuvre de justice démocratique aujourd'hui, puis de protection des Français, de leurs services publics, des solidarités face à un plan d'austérité inédit.
We are approaching this with complete calm. The question put to us is, do we have confidence in this government? It's a binary question. Either we do or we don't. We do not have confidence, neither in this government nor in the policies it pursues, which are the same ones Emmanuel Macron has pursued for the past 8 years. Policies that worsen inequality in this country, increase injustice and amount to a denial of democracy. Mr. Bayrou should never have been appointed Prime Minister. He belongs to a political camp that was heavily defeated in the legislative elections following the dissolution. So, in the end, today's process is an act of democratic justice, as well as protection of the French people and their public services, their social solidarity in the face of an unprecedented austerity plan. We are calling for a clear, straightforward cohabitation. That means the President of the Republic must respect the outcome of the 2024 legislative elections, which gave the New Popular Front a relative majority and, above all, sent the message that the French people wanted to break away from Emmanuel Macron's policies, the retirement age of 64, the abolition of the wealth tax, the injustices, the targeting of the unemployed and welfare recipients, the neglect of public schools. In short, everything that has been done for the past 8 years. People said, we want to turn the page. Now that page must be turned.